Okay, 305. Let us begin. So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Glenn, and today I'll be presenting on Wi-Fi 101, hacking and protecting my Wi-Fi. So, this is a basic introductory course on how you can secure your home router from attackers and what are some settings and configuration you should do in order to keep them safe. So, on today's agenda, I'll be talking about Deauth attack, the DOS for Wi-Fi, and is WPA2 still secure? And for WPA2, I'll be showing you two methods on actually how you can hack for WPA2. And we'll also be talking on what are the best practices for home Wi-Fi. And of course, we'll be also talking about the updated wireless security, which is WPA3. So before we begin, if let's say you want to practice this at home, you want to hack your own Wi-Fi, of course, please hack your own Wi-Fi. Do not hack your neighbor's Wi-Fi because that's illegal. All right. So we'll be using Aircrack-ng. Aircrack is basically a suite of wireless penetration testing tools. And inside this Aircrack, they have a few important tools that you need. And I'll be going through with you some of them so that you have an understanding of what it does. So that when I go to the demonstration later, you can see it in action. So the first thing that we have is AirMod-ng. AirMod-ng is a very basic one. Basically, we place our wireless card into a monitoring mode. And when your wireless card is into monitoring mode, it allows you to send and receive all network traffics. Okay. And the next one that we have is called AeroDump-ng. So AeroDump-ng allows for packet capturing. Okay. And it will also display a list of access points and the clients that are connected to it. And the next that we have is called AirPlay-ng, which is used to generate or accelerate traffic. Okay, so this is what we'll be using for deauthentication or fake authentication, or maybe interactive packet replay and various other types. And the next tool that we also have is called Aircrack-ng. So this is what we use to actually crack the Wi-Fi password that's encrypted in WPA or WPA2. All right, so let's get right into it. The first thing that we have is called Deauth attack. So Deauth attack is basically a deauthentication attack. It's a type of denial service attack where I will send these associate packets to the clients with a particular access point. So basically what this means, I'm basically sending fake packets to the client, to let's say your mobile phone or to your computer, and I'm telling it to deauthenticate, telling it I don't want to connect anymore, okay? And if you constantly send all these types of packets, right, you will basically kick the person off your network. So why do people want to do this? Well, the first part is a part of a greater attack, all right, meaning that I will first need to do this attack, okay, this deauthentication attack, if I want to capture the WPA2 four-way handshake, which can be used to crack the Wi-Fi password. And the next is to force users to connect to a rogue access point. This is something where we call like an evil twin attack, right? So if I have a same access point that has the same SSID, the same name as the legitimate one, then that is what we call as an evil twin attack. So instead of connecting you to the legitimate one, I'm going to connect you to a fake one, to the hacker's one, right? And also we can use it to force users to connect to a captive portal. And sometimes people do this just to be annoying. You want to kick users off a network, right? Let's say your brothers or sisters are hogging all the Wi-Fi, they're downloading so many things, right? You can actually use this type of attack to kick them off so they are not connected to the Wi-Fi anymore. So the first thing that we're going to use is AeroDump-ng, and we're going to set our wireless interface into monitoring mode. And then from there, we can see all the Wi-Fi in range. And when you see all the Wi-Fi in range, you want to select, all right? You want to select which is your target. So let's say, for example, my target is going to be my ASUS router, all right? You need to also take note of the channel number. CH is the channel number. And of course, the MAC address, which is called the BSSID. And then once we have identified which client, which access point we want to attack, then we'll use AeroDump-ng. Okay, we use -D, which is the MAC address of our access point, and we'll use -C, which is the channel number I have described just now. Okay, and then from there, we want to view all the stations that is connected to a single access point. Okay, so let's say you have found out all the clients that are connected. Then this is our client's MAC address, which is called the station. And once you have identified that, then we'll move on to actually doing the attack. It's very simple. It's a 3-step process. And then we will send a Deauth for deauthentication. And you can actually see 0 here. Doesn't mean I'm going to send 0 packets. It basically means I'm going to send unlimited amount of packets. If you want to send 100 packets, then you just change it to 100. And then we will specify the access point's MAC address and the client's MAC address. Okay, straightforward. So let's get right into it. And let's actually start with one demonstration. So the first thing you need to do is actually have a wireless connected card. Let's see. All right, so you can see here, I have a wireless card connected to my Kali Linux. So I'm going to put this into monitoring mode. So how do you put it into monitoring mode? Well, straightforward, sudo, we're going to use airmon-ng, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to specify which wireless interface is going to go into monitoring mode. So in my case, it'll be WLAN 0, but in your case, it could be WLAN 1 or so on. All right, so give it a second, and it'll be quite a fast process. All right, so we can actually see over here if it has actually in wireless monitoring mode. Right, so you can see here, our WLAN 0 has now become WLAN 0 mon for monitoring. Okay, so now that it's in monitoring mode, I want to see all the Wi-Fi in my area. Okay, so let's see what is around here. All right, so you can see some of my office Wi-Fi. You can see some of my other companies' Wi-Fi. But for this demonstration, I'm going to attack this one, ASUS, which is my access point that I've created specifically for this demonstration. All right, so we'll need to take note of its ASUS, and the channel number is 2, and the BSS ID. So once we have identified it, then let us see if we can work. All right, so I will need to change the channel number because this channel number here is 2, and then I will change it to 2 also over here. Let's see, is the base station MAC address the same? It's a bit different. It's a bit odd. Let's do that again. Let's see what else is there. Yeah, I don't want to kick somebody else off their Wi-Fi. This should belong to me. I didn't set it to this configuration. Never mind. Let's proceed and see what happens. Okay. So we need to change it to number 2. And we can actually see the wireless network here is OPN instead of WPA2. It should be WPA2. Okay, it seems I'm having some technical difficulties. I'm so sorry for that. But I have prepared a backup to actually show you how it works. It's the same process. Okay, it's the same process, but my access point is having some problems, some issues right here. So in the meantime, I'll just show you this video. It's the same process, and you can see how it actually works in real life. All right, so I did this a few days ago, and we can see over here all the Wi-Fi around my area. Yes, so we can see over here, our target is ASUS, and we can see the channel number 11 and the base station ID right here. So we need all these 3 information to actually do the attack. Okay, so from there, we will enter the command arrow dump. Oops. We'll enter the command right here. Give a second. All right. So we see we put -D and the base station ID, which is our MAC address, and the channel number 11 and our wireless interface right here. So once we have that, then we will actually want to view what are all the who are the clients actually connected to it. So depending on how many clients that's connected to the access point, it can be very fast or it can be a bit slow. So just give it a moment and you can see eventually it will pop up. Give it a second, it takes a while. In my demonstration, there's only one client that's connected. All right, so once you can see that this bottom row here, right over here, we can see these are the clients that are actually connected to it, and this is the base station ID, and this is the MAC address of our client. Then from there, we can actually begin to send the deauthentication packets. All right. So over here, you get to see I'm using -O. -O is the same as --deauth, which is the deauthentication, and -A. So think of -A as your access point's MAC address, and -C as your client's MAC address. Once you have these two information, you can actually begin to send the authentication packets. And it's a very straightforward, a lot of people can do this. And when you start to see this, yeah, so it will constantly keep sending the authentication packets right to the client, to let's say your Android phone that's connected, and it will basically kick them off. Okay. So sorry, I can't give you a live demonstration. All these wireless penetration testing, it's a bit buggy sometimes. All right. And before we move on, I'll talk about the four-way handshake. So the four-way handshake is actually the authentication process in WPA or WPA2. It's basically you're exchanging 4 messages between access point and the client device. And during this exchange process, right, it will generate encryption keys used to authenticate each other. And during this four-way handshake, the encrypted password, right, let's say the password you have set for your Wi-Fi is shared during this process. So the first way of attacking WPA2, right, is to capture the encrypted password in the four-way handshake. And we are going to use the deauthentication attack that we have shown earlier to disconnect clients. So once the client has been disconnected, right, they will attempt to re-authenticate back to the access point, to your Wi-Fi. And during this re-authentication, that is where we capture the four-way handshake, okay? And if we can capture this four-way handshake, then we can actually straight away begin to break your Wi-Fi password to crack the encrypted password from the Wi-Fi. So same thing again, we're going to use arrow dump and specify our wireless interface to view all the Wi-Fi in range, and we select our target, okay? So our target will be the same, ASUS, the channel number 11, and the base station ID. Then once we have identified it, then we want to view all the clients that are connected to the single access point. Same thing. Here, the step is slightly different. I'm not going to send unlimited, all right? I don't want to purposely kick them off forever, okay? I just want to kick them off temporarily, all right? Just for a short moment. So I'll only be sending 100 number of packets, okay? And once you start sending these packets to them, you just monitor the network traffic until you see a four-way handshake is captured. All right. So this is how it looks like. If you see this and you see that the WPA handshake has been captured, then we can begin a brute force offline attack to decrypt the password. All right. So I'll show you another video that I have prepared earlier. So sorry again about not having any live demonstrations. Okay. So same thing, we wait until we have identified our target. All right, once we have identified our target as ASUS, same thing, we select your base station ID. And then we are going to do the same thing, but instead I'm going to also, oops, I actually forgot a step right here. Something else I need to show you that's important. Where's my video? Okay. We actually need to, this is one more step right here, --write WPA2 crack. So this is where I'm going to write out all the handshake that will be captured. And once I write it out to a file, then I can begin my brute force offline attack from there. So let's just go through it again. All right. So we can see over here, this is what we will be monitoring, right? We can see previously from the previous tab, we also have the same view. But while we are going to monitor this, at the same time, I'm going to send 100 deauthentication packets. So give it a second. All right. And I'm going to start sending deauthentication packets. So while we are monitoring over here, we can actually see we have also captured PMKit. This will become relevant in a later section, but it takes a while as clients will start to re-authenticate back, right? They start to do the four-way handshake again, the re-authentication process again. Then we will actually get the WPA handshake. It takes a while. So depending on how many clients are connected, it can be very fast or sometimes it can be a bit slow. So just give it a second. It's a bit slow process. And hold on. Should be coming up soon. All right, can you see? We have actually captured the WPA handshake. And once we have captured this WPA handshake, we can stop it and we can begin cracking the encrypted Wi-Fi password. So this WPA handshake has been captured and we have already stored it in the file using the command --write. So over here, we will specify we're going to crack it using wpa2crack.cat file, and we are going to need a word list. So whenever you want to crack any type of offline cracking of password, right, for any encrypted password, you need a word list. So in my case, I've just created a sample word list that makes it very easy for you to actually crack it. You can use like RockQ, also can, it's possible. All right. So the command is straightforward. And because it's a very simple password inside, okay, so the cracking process is very fast. So you can see right over here, we have actually found the key. And it's called admin123. So that is the name of the password for my router. And that will be the one that when you crack it, you will get this same information back. So very straightforward. It's a very easy process. Anybody can do this actually nowadays. All right. And the next one, all right, the second method is we're going to exploit a vulnerability with PMKit. So PMKit is derived from the SSID and your Wi-Fi password. So this PMKit is the pairwise master key during the authentication process. You will actually create this PMKit. All right, and you can capture this PMKit from a single earball frame. It does not require capturing of the full four-way handshake. You do not require clients to be connected to access point, and you do not need to perform any deauthentication attacks. But however, the weakness of this is that it's a less reliable attack. Okay, some manufacturers does not include this PMKit inside this earball frame. So I've tested it with a few routers like D-Link. All right, D-Link I know doesn't have it. My ASUS router is quite old, about 2014, 2015. It actually includes this. I also tested it on mobile hotspots. It also doesn't work on this. So the thing about this second method, right? Because you do not need any clients to be connected to it, you can actually hack into any Wi-Fi that has this vulnerability and it won't create any noise, all right? Because when you send deauthentication packets, okay, it will make noise. It will let let's say the IT manager or let's say your log files will be filled with all these logs telling that these packets are coming in and all this deauthentication is happening. So, and if you actually capture using Wireshark, right, these packets, and you can actually see how this PMKit will look like right here. RSN PMKit right here. Okay. And whereas for this, we're going to need 3 different tools. The first is called HCX dump tools. It's basically the same thing. It's a packet capturing tool. And then we have the next is HCX PCAP tools. So this HCX PCAP tools is used to convert PCAP files, all right, into a WPA PMKit hash format for Hashcat. And what is Hashcat? Hashcat is a password cracking tool. All right, so same thing. we're going to identify which router is we're going to attack. And once we have identified it, we're actually going to run the command called hcx dump tool -I for our wireless interface, -O where our output is going to be, and the enable status. All right, so enable status is the same thing as your channel number. All right, so our channel number here will be 11. Then we're going to put 11 over here. Same thing. All right, and once you run it, it'll take quite some time. But when you see this PMKit rogue, that means we have successfully captured this PMKit. Okay, and once we have successfully captured it, we can use hcx pcap tool to convert it into W6800. This is the WPA2 PMKit format. Okay, and once we have captured it, we're going to use hashcat to crack it. Okay, so -M is the mode, and then which is the file name that we have found. And then we're going to also need the word list, the sample word list. So this will crack PMKit hash using hashcat, and this returns the password in clear text. So you can see over here, this is the PMKit format. All right, and then this is the password. So basically, we have captured this PMKit, and this PMKit, because it is derived from our Wi-Fi access point name and also the password, we can use hashcat to crack it and get back the original one. So the only thing about this process is that when I tested it on my Kali, right, it is very unreliable. I can do the attack 10 times, but it will only work 3 times. Okay, because capturing this PMKit is not easy, and not only that, the tools that is being used, it can cause your Kali Linux to crash. Okay, like so for my Kali Linux, it will crash constantly. So it's very unreliable, but this method is a new method that you can actually find online. And because of this, it makes it very easy for attackers to attack your Wi-Fi, and you won't know what is happening. So same thing here. I have another demonstration video. All right. So we have to, we're going to put it into one wireless interference into monitoring mode, and we can see WLAN 0 mod. So it is our wireless interface is in monitoring mode. Then we're going to use hcx dump tool, and we're going to specify the interface with -I and the output, which with -O. So we're going to put Wi-Fi pcap ng. And we're going to enable under status. The status of our Wi-Fi is the channel number, and just let it run. So it's recommended you should at least let it run for about 10 minutes, and then you can capture the PMKit. But when I tested it at the time, it either crashes my Linux or I have failed to capture it. So you have to let it run for a while. And as you can see, I'm basically checking all my neighbors' Wi-Fi, and until I actually found my own Wi-Fi, that I've captured the PMKit. All right, and once I have captured it, I can stop it, and then I'll move on to the next command. All right. So I'm going to use hcx pcap tool. I'm specifying -E for the SSID list, -I for the identity list, and also the -U for the username list. This will make it very easy for hashcat to understand what is going on. All right, and I'm specifying W16800, which is the WPA2 PMKit hash format. Okay, and you can see from the output file, one PMKit has been written. All right, so when I was testing it, basically all my neighbors' Wi-Fi, I was trying to capture the PMKit, but it was unsuccessful, and the only one that works was my wireless access point, which was called ASUS. So luckily for that. Okay, and once we have the PMKit that is written to a file, then we can begin to crack it. We will use hashcat, and we're going to specify the mode 16800, the WPA2 PMKit format. Give it the file name called the Wi-Fi.16800, And -A0 means to ignore all warnings. -W1 is to how much processing power I want. And of course, I need a word list too. So for all these attacks to work, you need a strong word list. Okay. Let's see if I can actually show it to you live. Okay. All right, so I actually have the file right over here. So I'll show you how we can actually crack it using hashcat straight away. Okay. So we can see we have hashcat right here in 16800 mode, Wi-Fi in 16800 also. And we will need to give it the word list. So just let me. All right, so it's starting and hashcat can be a bit slow. So you just give it a while to run, okay? And you can see that eventually it will crack the Wi-Fi password. The reason why it can crack is because the Wi-Fi password is very weak, all right? You can see over here, this is our captured PMKit format. And we can see over here, this is our Wi-Fi password, admin123. So that is the second way of doing it. It's a much more dangerous way, but it's also much less reliable. So there are two ways you can actually use to test and see if this vulnerability also exists in your Wi-Fi. So for remediation, it is actually a very straightforward process, okay? The first thing you can do to prevent a deauthentication attack is to use protected management frames in your router settings, okay? That is something, if your router enables it, you should enable it, okay? And of course, all these attacks work on cracking the password offline, an offline dictionary attack, okay? So in order to make sure your Wi-Fi password is never cracked, okay, you need to make sure you set a very strong Wi-Fi password, okay? It should be at least 20-character password with lowercase, uppercase, symbols, and digits, all right? So I know the remediation does not seem very fancy, but this is the only way that works, all right? And of course, if your router actually supports it, you should actually move to WPA3, okay? Because all this weakness, right, all these deauthentication attacks and the two ways for attacking WPA2, okay, the only way to overcome this is to not use WPA2 anymore, all right? WPA3 is a new method. This is a new protocol that was announced in 2018. And if you can actually use WPA3 and all your devices supported it, then definitely move to WPA3. So what are some best practices for your home Wi-Fi? So of course, the first thing is please change the default password, okay? Do not use any words in the dictionary, okay? So as you can see, just now when I crack all the Wi-Fi password, okay, it's all a dictionary attack, okay? Admin123 is a very common password. So if you are going to create a password for your Wi-Fi, please make sure it's something not in a dictionary. Please make sure it's very complicated and very long. That is your only way you can defend against all these attacks. And another thing you can do is to change the default SSID, all right? Please do not pick a name that identifies it is you, okay? If let's say I want to attack Glen, I want to attack Glen's Wi-Fi. And if my Wi-Fi is called Glen Wi-Fi at home, all right, then people will know it belongs to me. So whenever you choose a Wi-Fi name, or in this case, SSID, please pick a name that does not identify it is you. And of course, please update to the latest firmware version. A lot of people, especially when it comes to their home Wi-Fi, they do not bother updating it at all. Okay, yes, they might change the password, they'll change to some very funny name, but they do not update to the latest firmware version. And also another thing is turn off WPS, wireless protected setup. WPS is meant to make connecting to your Wi-Fi a very simple process, but because this process is so simple, okay, it can be hacked and it can be taken advantage of. So do not use WPS. Instead, just key in the password every time you want to connect a new device. Also, another thing is turn off UPnP. universal plug and play. So universal plug and play, let's say if you want to connect to your IoT devices, right, or your smart TV from your home, sometimes you want to cast your YouTube app on your phone to your TV, it will use UPnP, universal plug and play. So if you're a SME, right, you're a small medium enterprise, and you use WPA2, you should not have UPnP enabled for your company because it opens up an advantage for hackers to hack into it. But if you're at home, you can use it, but if you're not using it, if you don't have any smart devices or IoT devices in your house, then you can turn it off. So, but when you turn off universal plug and play, right, you might affect all your IoT devices that's connected. And also, another thing is, turn off features you are not using to reduce attack surfaces. Okay, sometimes when you buy a router, right, your Wi-Fi, right, by default it might come with remote management turned on. It might come with telnet turned on by default. And if you're not going to use any of those, please turn it off. And for WPA2, it's better to use AES encryption. And AES encryption will be safe as long as your password is very long and complex. And another thing you can have is guest networks, okay? Guest networks for visitor and also your IoT devices. So guest network, think of it as like I'm creating a separate Wi-Fi for all the guests to connect to. And if one of your guests is infected, or right, one of your visitor has infected with malware, then it makes it very difficult for the malware to reach its original host. Okay, so like in my family, I put all my family members, my brothers and sisters, all in the guest network, whereas for me, I am in the original network. And of course, you also can put your IoT devices in a guest network. So, because IoT devices tend to be easily hacked nowadays. So when your IoT devices in your guest network, so if your IoT device get hacked, at least you know it won't reach you, your original computer, your original host. And another thing that most people do not know is to actually set an appropriate transmission power. So think of transmission power like your high, medium, or low. So this is basically how much range can your Wi-Fi reach, okay? If you set your transmission power to high, that means it can reach a much further distance compared to setting it as low. So if you set a very high transmission power, and then your neighbor can receive your Wi-Fi, like let's say your neighbor across the street, then they can actually hack into your Wi-Fi because your Wi-Fi can reach your house. So if like you stay in an apartment building or a condominium, all right, and you set your transmission power high, yeah, you might be able to reach 3 floors down, all right, your Wi-Fi can reach 3 floors down. So this makes your neighbors very easy to hack into your Wi-Fi network, and you won't know who it is, okay? So if your house isn't that huge or what, then please set an appropriate transmission power. So that way, at least if someone is going to try to hack into your Wi-Fi, they have to be very close to your house. You know, they have to be a car parked right in front of your house. You have to be some person standing right outside your front door. Okay, so set an appropriate transmission power. Makes it much more difficult for the hackers to hack into you. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the updated wireless security, which is WPA3. So the funny thing about WPA3, all right, it was announced, okay, in January 2018, it was announced to everybody about this new Wi-Fi security protocol. And then one year later, all right, in April 2019, researchers actually managed to hack WPA3, and it's called Dragonblood. So if you want to know more technical details about it, you can Google it. But this attack wasn't very easy, but they have found a way to hack WPA3, like 1 year later, okay? But the thing is, these researchers worked together with the Wi-Fi Alliance to create a fix to this Dragonblood. So some people would think, should I still use WPA3? The answer is yes, okay? All the demonstrations, all the videos that I've shown you today, okay? All right, WPA3 has fixed it already. So all this deauthentication, all these offline password cracking methods to steal your encrypted password from the four-way handshake, all of these are fixed in WPA3, okay? And it offers extended protection against brute force attacks, which we can see just now with my word list. I can crack any password using brute force methods, okay? It offers WPA3 forward secrecy. Okay, it provides stronger encryption for networks, and it also replaces the WPS with something called Wi-Fi Easy Connect. All right. So that is it today. Actually, it's a very simple topic, and I'm sorry again, I couldn't show you a live demonstration. I guess my Wi-Fi access point is having problems. All right. So if you have any inquiries, please you can email us or WhatsApp us if you have any questions. But I'll open up this time now for Q&A. So it's a very straightforward process, this WPA2 cracking and this deauthentication attacks. It's not complicated, and the best part is anybody can do it. Hello, Kenny. Your question is, how do you get past the Kali Linux appropriate mismatch hash? Okay. So the thing when you use, I guess you're asking about the hashcat, right? Because I know sometimes when you use hashcat, it might not allow you to. Yes, Theodore. In order to connect my wireless LAN interface, I use a USB Wi-Fi dongle. So I'm actually using a alpha card. Okay, I use this alpha card, and that allows me to connect to my Kali Linux. So that's why you can see right now. I can still stream to you using these Teams, and also I can have a separate wireless access. So if you want to do all these attacks, you will need a wireless access card using a USB dongle. So if you do want to use it, I'll definitely suggest Alpha. Oh, my sample word list is a very basic one, actually. It's basically because I do not want to use a full, few million, right, word list. I just use a 10 word list. I'll show you which I'll paste my wireless access card that I use in the comments. Yeah, so I use Alpha Network, and this is the model number that I use. Yeah, if you use Bridge Network, it doesn't work because Kali doesn't have permission, right, to take control of your built-in Wi-Fi card. So you will definitely need an external one. You'll definitely need an external one. So yeah, during all our testing, we'll use Alpha Network. If not mistaken, it's not that expensive. It's a local manufacturer you can buy from. Yes, WPA2 Personal is 100% hackable. For WPA2 Enterprise, it suffers from the same issue. But with WPA2 Enterprise, right, you can actually set different users have their own unique username and password. So this makes it much more difficult. If, let's say, the hackers manage to hack in, they cannot capture or replay all the networks that has been previously used before. So if you can use WPA2 Enterprise, yes, it will mitigate some of these attacks. But the thing about WPA2 Enterprise, it's difficult to manage. So if you know what you're using, you know what you're doing with WPA2 Enterprise, then go ahead. But if not, you can use WPA2 Personal and make sure you set a very strong Wi-Fi password. Okay, Nick has asked, if we open a public Wi-Fi and offer public access as our cafe service, is there a way of hardening our public access? Okay, so all these methods that I've showed you, right? There is no proper way you can actually protect against it. Okay, if somebody wants to steal your Wi-Fi password, they'll steal the encrypted password. All right, but whether they can actually crack it, that is the other question. Okay, if you use a very long and very complex password, then they'll definitely not be able to crack it. But if your Wi-Fi password is very weak, then they'll be able to crack it. But definitely the best way is to use WPA3, actually, the new wireless network protocol. If you can use it, then it'll be much better. But the only problem with WPA3 is that it might not be compatible with some older devices. So let's say you have an old phone, right? Let's say in 2010, okay, it might not actually support WPA3. So some users might not be connected to it. So that's the only problem with our current setting, right, for WPA2, because it has all these vulnerabilities and there's almost no way you can stop it. The only way you can do it is make sure you have a strong password, okay, and you have a router that supports protected management frames. Yeah, then that would be your best way. Okay, let's see what other questions I have. Yeah, Aircrack-ng's another one. He's hacking Wi-Fi. That's a good one. Yeah, I try to use the default one. So like Aircrack all comes with in Kali Linux straight away. So makes it easier. You do not have to download anything. You just have to make sure it's updated. Okay, Rishi has asked, can we connect to any access point and do this hacking? Well, yes, you don't actually have to connect to any access point. You just have to capture the packets that are sent to these access points. But please do not hack into your neighbor's Wi-Fi. Okay, it's illegal. All right. Please be ethical. Everything I show you today is just meant for educational purposes. Okay, it's not meant for you to simply go and hack into your neighbor's Wi-Fi. All right, it's meant for you. You want to hack into your own Wi-Fi that you own? Sure, you can use your own hotspot and try and hack it too. But please do not hack into your neighbor's Wi-Fi or any other body's Wi-Fi unless you have permission. Okay, if you work at Condition Zebra, then yeah, you can get permission from the client. Then you can try and hack their Wi-Fi. We actually use WPA2 hacking also. We also capture the four-way handshake and see if they have a weak password. Yeah. Yes, Arif, correct. Yeah, WPA3. Yeah, some users can't connect to the Wi-Fi network due to old version type phones. So nowadays, most phones, newer models at least, do support WPA3, but it still takes some time. It's not fully accepted 100% yet, but it'll take some time. Yes, we'll share the slides with you today so that you can go through it. Yeah, all the commands and everything I use I've given out all the description. Yeah, so you can follow it. Try and crack your own Wi-Fi at home. Yes, please don't crack your neighbor's Wi-Fi. Okay, it's illegal. I have to state that again. I can't be held responsible. I'm sorry, Rizal. What do you mean? Can you use VPN? So if you use a VPN is just meant to protect your network traffic. All right. But once somebody has hacked into your router, right, or into your Wi-Fi, okay, they will be able to find your computers. So a VPN doesn't really, it protects your network privacy. But if let's say I want to hack into your computer, I can do it once I have hacked into your Wi-Fi. Oh, okay. How can we do a Deauth a client if we are not them? Just wondering. Okay. So let me go back to the slides. Okay, so Deauth, right? We are basically sending a dissociate packets. Basically, we are spoofing we are pretending to be the client, pretending to be the access point, okay, and I'm sending it to the client, telling them to deauthenticate. So when you use the network card that I'm using, right, the alpha network, okay, it allows me to do like sort of like packet injection. I'm going to send fake packets to the client, and then they will disconnect. So you don't actually have to be them, okay. So that's why in this case we select which wireless access point we want to target, and that's why we also try to find out which clients are connected to it. Okay, so when you get into this, when you run this command, okay, all this at the bottom row over here, these are all the clients that are connected to it. So once you have identified the client, okay, the person you want to kick off, that is when we can send the authentication packet. That's why when you see this -c over here for the client, yeah, that's when we will send. That means we're targeting this specific client, and we're going to send the authentication packets. Yeah, and this deauthentication packet is very annoying, because if your router doesn't support protected management frames, then there's not much you can do about it. Yeah, don't worry, we'll upload the slides for so that you can study it. Okay. All these Wi-Fi cracking is actually very common nowadays. It's a very simple process. Almost anybody can do it too. Not very complicated as it used to be. Okay, well, yes, WPA3 prevents from, it use a different method of the four-way handshake, actually. So all these vulnerabilities, all these cracking that you see that I've done, all right, it doesn't exist in WPA. I say it doesn't exist. It uses a different method of authentication. You're no longer using the four-way handshake. Okay, it offers forward secrecy, so it makes it much more secure than WPA2. That's why it's recommended, if you can support WPA3, you should definitely use it, especially on your home Wi-Fi. That is vulnerable. But like I said, the only problem with WPA3 is it might not support all the devices. If you have an old laptop, you have an old phone, yeah, it might not be supported. So that's the only problem with WPA3. That's why I guess some people don't use it nowadays. But actually, if you buy a new router today, it actually supports both WPA2 and WPA3. So if it has dual antennas, okay, it can support WPA2 and WPA3 at the same time. So all those newer devices that support WPA3, it will use WPA3. Whereas for those older devices, it will still stick to the WPA2. But of course, in this case, you're still exposing yourself to the same vulnerability. But at least that way, you limit the number of clients it can attack. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Oh. Yeah. Yes, you're correct, Anson. If you're using SSL, all right, you're using means your network is already encrypted. So you can sniff the traffic. Okay, using Wireshark, anybody can sniff the traffic. But without this, without the SSL key, you cannot decrypt the traffic at all. So yes, anybody can sniff the traffic, but because if you're using SSL, it'll be all be encrypted. Then no one can see what you're actually being sent over. So yes, anybody can sniff the traffic, but because it's SSL encrypted, then nobody can read what you are sending over. Yes, if the router supports WPA2, WPA3, then it's still vulnerable, correct? Because as long as WPA2 is there, then it still exposes itself to this same vulnerability. So that's why the best defense is always creating a very strong password. Okay, go back to your basics. Okay, a strong password is your best defense. Okay, I hope all of you go back today. Create a new password that's very strong. I also tried to hack. When I did it and tried to crack my own Wi-Fi password, but because my Wi-Fi password is so long, it was almost impossible. Yes. So the thing about HTTPS, it just means that your connection, right, the website that you're browsing, the connection to it is safe. But even if your router is hacked, they may not be able to see what you're actually sending over. But the problem with when I hack your router, my goal is to hack into your computer from there. Okay, because once I hack into your router, right, I can search for who is connected to this router also. So HTTPS, sure, I can't really see what your password and username is, but I can try and hack into your computer there. Next topic will be great if it's sniffing traffic. The thing about sniffing traffic is just that you can just use Wireshark. That's the thing. So Wireshark is what we all use to sniff the network traffic, to see what packets are being sent over, to see the contents of the packets. So if you're using HTTP and you go to like those login pages, you can actually see all those. You can see all the packets that with username and password that's being sent over. But if it's using HTTPS like SSL or TLS, then it makes it that you won't be able to see the network traffic unless you have the same key to decrypt your network traffic. So it's not very easy to. Once hacker get into the router, hacking the computer and any other device like TV, headphones, tablet, it's the same stuff, right? Yes, it's the same stuff. So basically, if it has an IP address, it can be hacked. So like all your IoT devices, like your smart TV, smart refrigerators, all has an IP address. Yes, it can be hacked too. So the thing is, once somebody has hacked into your router, okay, you might not be able to know they have actually hacked inside, unless you watch who are the people that connect to your router constantly. So if let's say you live by yourself, all right, and you only have 3 devices, and next day you see a 4th device has come in. Yeah, it means somebody has probably gotten your Wi-Fi password and connected to your Wi-Fi. But if let's say you're like a small business, all right, or maybe you own like a cafe, you have multiple people coming in and joining your Wi-Fi network, then it might be difficult to know when you have a hacker inside your router there. Okay, I think that's enough time for today. Is whitelist MAC address a good prevention? Robin asked. Yes, whitelist MAC can be a good prevention, but the only thing about whitelisting, it means that you have to constantly update whenever a new device wants to connect to the network. If you have a small network, sure, it's still manageable. But when you have people constantly joining and leaving the network, then you must keep your whitelist up to date. So the problem when it comes to whitelisting is that you have to be up to date. You have to update it all the time. Because if you do not update it, right? Let's say you have an employee who joins the company, you whitelist your computer that allows them to connect to the network. But when they leave, you must make sure you take out your MAC address from this whitelist. If not, some hacker can use back the same computer and try to hack inside. So it is a possible prevention, but the problem comes down to managing it. If you can be managing it very well, then I don't see an issue. But if you have a problem with managing it, then you will have a problem. So that's the only thing. If you have good IT management protocols and good IT management policies, then it can be safe. It can be safer. Okay. Thanks, Alicia, for sending the link. All right. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you all for coming. Sorry again about all the failed demonstration. But luckily, I've prepared some backup videos. All right. Please stay safe during this RMCO period. Okay. Please wash your hands. Practice social distancing. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Thank you.